Welcome to Hands Off Dog Training. I'm very excited to be bringing this program to you, and I wanted to spend just a quick moment before we really dive in and explain to you what I think you should expect, some of my methodologies, and how you can use this program to eliminate your dog's obedience problems and help create the dog that you want. So first of all, what this program is going to help you do is it is going to eliminate a lot of problems. You've already learned about some of those problems in the materials, you've read about this course, but just to kind of go over some of them. We're going to be eliminating how to get your dog to stop potty all over the house and pooing all over the house. We're going to teach you how to get your dog to actually ring a bell when it needs to go outside and how to go potty in certain spots. We're going to talk about energy issues where dogs are so excited. How do you calm a dog down? How do you reduce its energy around little kids, around new people that come over? How do you keep that energy positive versus negative and possibly becoming aggressive? We're going to be talking about not developing kind of a little bully, a bull in a china shop kind of a dog that when you got a sack full of groceries and you open a door, the dog darts out, knocks your legs out from under you, and is always barging through doors, is always jumping on you to eat food. If you've got a couple dogs, or they're always competing to be the first one to eat or the first ones to fight through doors. These types of issues, so aggression, nipping, chewing, how to just have your life, be with a dog and have it go good, and have it go good automatically. And there's a certain way that I like to do this, and I use a positive approach. It is not the only approach out there, and I want to take just a couple of minutes, maybe a minute here, and explain to you why I use my approach that I do, and so that you understand what you're running up against. So the type of approach that I use is a positive type of approach, where we are going to take a bunch of rewards that life has to offer to your dog, right? What motivates your dog that's in a positive way? So toys to play with motivate dogs. Sometimes dogs have a prey drive where they're motivated to chase things. They have a petting is a prey drive, where it just not a prey drive, but a motivating factor where it feels good. Food is something that feels good. There are all these sorts of motivating factors that get dogs to do things. And my view is that if we're strategic about it, we can set up conditions so that the dog learns to do behaviors that we want them to do in order to earn these positive rewards. Now, this is not always going to be treats, which is a problem that a lot of people complain about when you use positive types of training. They say, oh, is my dog going to get addicted to using treats? And the answer is no. We'll talk about that later, but there's a process and a role for treats for getting dogs to learn how to do behaviors, and then there's a process for weaning the dogs back off of them, and we will definitely talk about how to do that. So why is this course called the Hands Off Dog Training Method? Well, the reason is because we're not going to be using our hands to physically really force dogs into things and issue negative forces onto our dog. We're gonna, we'll be touching the dog. This isn't like you're gonna train your dog without ever touching him. We'll be touching the dog, but in positive ways. There's no negative force and manipulation necessary. And here's why. So let's take, for example, the drop it. There's two different ways to teach drop it. They'll absolutely work, but I want you to be aware of the side effects of the negative versus the positive way of doing things. So let's say your dog has a ball and you want him to learn how to drop the ball so you can throw it for him again if you're wanting to play fetch. Well, one way that traditional dog training with the physical manipulation and negative use of punishment works is you reach under to a sensitive spot in the dog's stomach, right in front of its back leg, and you pinch. And what will happen is the dog who's got a happy ball looking at you will look at you and go, ah, and open its mouth to attack the threat of the pain that is nipping it in its leg, dropping the ball. The trainer, if they're good, releases their hand right away, says, good, and then gives the dog a treat or gives the dog something else, throws the ball for them again, that sort of thing. But here's a problem. Now let's say you're not an expert at this and you don't know how to do it right. What you've done is that now every time you go to reach your hands, or let's say a child goes to reach their hands on that same spot that the trainer always pinches when the dog has something in the mouth, what you've done is you have trained your dog to well up a certain emotion around certain parts of its body. And if you could take a brain scan, you would see that the dog's negative emotions flare when certain areas are touched on its body. Is that really something that you want to do? If you, for like me right now, have small children, do you want issues of aggression and defensiveness being brought up when a dog has something in your mouth and a kid tries to touch it? My belief is no. You may have a different one, but that's the approach I'm coming from. And whenever you use negative punishment, you have to remember that you are always attaching negative emotions to the animal for certain behaviors. You cannot train a behavior without simultaneously training and capturing the emotions the animal felt while learning the behavior. I take that very literally. I did not develop that concept, but I completely believe it. And I want a dog who naturally will go into a situation and do things for the right reasons instead of needing to be punished for them that could possibly end up creating an aggression issue that gets out of control. The second thing that I want to do before you trust me with helping you create a dog that's going to be with you for hopefully 15 plus years and be a loving member of your family is I want you to know a little bit more about me and kind of how I developed and worked with my methodologies of training, just so we can have some rapport. So I did not start off as a dog trainer, and I think that's an asset for myself, and I think it's an asset to you. I actually started off as a professional bird trainer. Actually, I self-taught myself how to train birds, and here's why I think this is going to be helpful for you. With birds, what happens, they are an undomesticated animal, and they have a lot of weird issues about really hurting other human beings who come into their space, a lot of hormonal issues, and you have to figure out how to work with these animals that have very bad aggression issues around things you can't quite understand, and you have to figure out how to do it without getting bit. And so you learned how to train these things without ever touching them. And it gave me a great foundation by being a bird trainer first to transition into dog training and learn how to master dogs as well, because I learned how to train animals without being able to touch them and learning how to get them to love me. So there's a lot of things that I did in that realm of birds that I'll be bringing to you in this course, and I just wanted to share that with you. We're one of my brother and I, actually, who's not a part of this dog training course, but my brother and I, Dave Womack and me, created the internet's best-selling parrot training course. So we're pretty good at that, and then I said, you know what, there's some things that bird world needs to bring over into the dog world, and that's what I'm trying to do for you here today. And finally, before we dive into the content, I want to explain to you how I've laid out this program so that you get the most out of it, you don't get frustrated waiting for me to get around to the point. So I have a tendency to be a little long-winded, so I want to help you, if you're one of those people who doesn't like to listen to long-winded people, get through this a little bit better. This course is laid out in 3 sections. The first section is going to explain to you the tool sets that you're going to need, the techniques that you're going to need, the methodologies, some of the scientific research behind tools and techniques that you are going to need to be using to fix your dog's behavior and have an obedient dog for the rest of your life. This first section will not have a lot of hands-on things in it where I am physically showing you how to do stuff with your dog. However, I feel that if you skip this section, you will not grasp well enough the principles that we're going to be using in the next section to have a lot of success with your dog. So I highly recommend that you listen to section 1 first and get a good understanding of the tool sets, and actually maybe do it a couple of different times. And then we'll move on to the second section of this dog training program, where we will actually be going into the specific problems, and I'll be taking my new puppy. At the time of me filming this, I actually have about a 10-week-old female golden retriever that has had no training, or at least very, very little, maybe a week's worth of training, and we're going to be showing you and demonstrating for you specific how-to things of exactly how you go about fixing problems with dogs with a dog who has no training whatsoever and has a lot of problems. You'll get to see the bad behaviors, you'll get to see the good behaviors, and you'll get to see some of the progress that's made along with it for all of the different problems that dogs have. Thirdly, we are then going to have a final section of this program that goes into some things that I feel other people can add more value to this program than I might be able to. So over the years, I've done a collection of interviews. I've given a couple of seminars, for example, my bird training business, and I might be bringing clips to you from those other programs that, even though maybe they were for bird-related programs, will be of high value to you because it's a direct crossover. I've got, for example, in the third section of this program, an interview on potty training that I think is the best thing that has ever been published on potty training and how to quickly potty train your dog. and it was an interview that I did with a dog trainer as I was first getting started with dog training, who taught me how to potty train dogs. It's wonderful, and I'm going to be sharing stuff like that with you in the third section of this program. Some of it will be video, and some of it will be audio, but that is what this third section is all about. So those are the 3 sections. I highly recommend that you go through them in order, but now it's time to jump into some of the content and get started with learning.